Stefan said that you've been in his class and
Do you want to take around this
Yeah.
way?
Yeah, I went to his
Oh, it's
class.
fun.
I think it was the spring semester, so it was only a few months ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's a great guy.
He is, yeah.
How are you guys liking the class so far?
I really enjoy it.
Is it good?
It's very practical.
I think it's inspiring. And
Yeah. He inspires us to open our own projects,
Yeah.
startups.
Just know what you're getting into before you do it. Just expect gray hairs.
For sure. Alright, so I guess we'll start at the beginning. Can you just give a brief overview of eatstreet, what the company offers, and what like your goals or missions are for overall arching goals for the company? Sure.
Yeah, so eatstreet's a platform for restaurants. We offer different apps and services to make restaurants successful, primarily online ordering. So that's the biggest piece of the puzzle. We give restaurants their own websites that offer online ordering, mobile apps, mobile websites, Facebook ordering, all the different kind of features they need to be successful for online ordering. So that's kind of the services that we offer. Really the mission for eatstreet is this year is to expand as fast as we possibly can across the country. We started the year with 2,500 restaurants. We're now already crossed 10,000, and we're at about 110 cities currently. Our primary target are the secondary markets of the country, so we focus on cities like Madison, Wisconsin, Lexington, Kentucky, Richmond, Virginia, Ithaca, New York, 100,000 to 400,000 people cities, and really try to get as many restaurants signed up in those cities as possible, and get them as many customers ordering as possible. That's really our primary goals.
Yeah, so what we do really is kind of level the playing field between the really big chains and the small mom and pop shops that really don't have the ability to build their own in-house technology to accept orders just like a Pizza Hut or a Papa John's. And for the Pizza Huts and Papa John's of the world, we just bring them more customers. So that's kind of what our company does.
So when and how did you guys get started, and how was the idea for eatstreet conceived?
I'll let you take that one.
All right, fair enough. So at the time I was living with Matt, and our other co-founder Alex Weiler was working on an internship with me, and I ordered a sub off of a restaurant's third-party ordering app, and when the guy actually came to drop off the food, he said, "Hey, we really actually hate this app. Don't use it anymore, just call in your order. And by the way, they're charging you 75 cents to use the app for every single order." And I kind of, looked at the guy in the cubicle next to me, who was Alex, and thought about my roommate Matt, and said, "Hey, I feel like the three of us can do a really good job in this space where obviously if the restaurants themselves hate the apps, we could really go in and do a much more high quality job." So talked to them that day, and the next day we were started on building our business.
You guys started out as Badger Bites, right?
Yeah, so it was originally Badger Bites just here in Madison, obviously.
Yeah. And how did that kind of evolve into eatstreet?
Yeah, so after I graduated in May of 2011, right before I graduated, we won a business competition at UW, the Borough Business Mind Competition. Gave us $10,000 in a free office. So at that point, we had already saved out some other funds that we had gotten from the Madison market. So for us, it was all about trying to get to more cities, trying to expand it out a little bit. So it was, we proved that we could do it in Madison. Now it was time to prove it elsewhere. So I was full-time at the company. Eric and Alex were still in college. They still did one more year. So after I graduated, I went to Milwaukee second, and we called it BrewCityBites.com. And then the third market was IC Eats in Iowa City, so at the University of Iowa. So our goal was, again, just to replicate the same process, sign the restaurants in the area, get the college students using the service in those markets, and prove again that we could do it. Did a pretty good job with that expansion with just doing it myself and one part-time employee. And so at that point, we started raising an investment round. So we looked at investors in the area, got connected with Generator, which is based in Milwaukee, and offices in Madison and Milwaukee. And they gave us a $150,000 seed investment to help expand the company further. So at that point, we took that $150,000 and wanted to start 10 cities. So we went to Richmond, Virginia, Lexington, Kentucky, Tucson, Arizona, a bunch of cities across the country. So we picked 10 and we said, we're going to start these. So we got up to 13 markets, again, just kind of proved out the concept. And at that point, investors wanted to give us more money to keep the expansion going. So we raised a $500,000 round to once again just kind of keep the process rolling, prove prove out the concept so we could raise even bigger round of financing. It's just kind of how it always evolves. You raise bigger and bigger rounds. So it took that $500,000, kept the expansion going, and then closed our first Series A financing, our Series A financing in January of last year, so January of 2013. Series A financing, the term, I don't know if you guys go over this in your class, but it's usually your first big round of investment. It's kind of like we kind of started to figure it out. Now we're going to take a bigger chunk of money to show what we can do. So that was a $2 million investment. So at that point, as of January of 2013, we had raised roughly 2.65 million. And so that was a big chunk, of new money coming in. So last year, 2013, right after we raised that investment, we decided that we were going to consolidate our brand into one. We couldn't be Badger Bites, Bruce Lee Bites, IC Eats, Order Richmond, all these different names across the country. That if we were going to be a big company and take this money and do a lot with it, we needed to be one brand name. So in that same month when we took our Series A financing, we changed our name to Eat Street. So Eat Street's only about a year and a half old. Badger Bites was around longer than Eat Street even was at this point. Eventually that'll change, but so it was just a decision that we made, that we decided in order to be a big company, we've got to change this, and we're pretty happy with the decision. And to finish the story, a couple months ago we closed our Series B financing, which was $6 million. So now the company's raised about $8.7 million total. So we're using that $6 million now to expand even faster than what we did before.
To the point though of all the different brands, marketing and advertising for 17 different brands, which I think is what we got.
We got to 16.
16. That's a nightmare. So you don't want to do that. Don't. I highly recommend if you start your own company, don't try to maintain 16 separate brands at once.
Well, and college students move around. Yeah. After you graduate from UW, you probably won't stay here. A lot of people don't. A lot of people branch out and move elsewhere. And when you move elsewhere, we don't want you to have to re-find out what the brand name is there. So that was our biggest issue, was we were having people move, and without having one name, they didn't know where to go. So, that's really what it boiled down to.
So initially, how did you feel adequately prepared to start and run a business? That's pretty.
So I think the joke that we always tell is that the first Google search that we started was how do you start a business, and the second Google search that we ran was how do you make a website. So the short answer is no, not at all. We didn't have any clue, but candidly, we've always been pushing ourselves to limits where we're not experts in what we're doing. Like the work that we're doing currently is still work that is challenging the limits of what we've learned along the way, and I think that the best way to start a business is just kind of jumping in feet first, because you can always come up with reasons and things that you're not an expert in, and the nature of kind of starting a business is learning along the way.
Yeah, candidly, we had no idea what we were doing when we started the business. Not a clue at all. I had never even, at that point, I'd taken one business class. I think I took accounting 100 at that point. I think, like Eric said, you just gotta jump in and go for it, or you're never gonna. You just gotta. It's trial and error, learn as you go. I think if we ever started another business, we'd be a lot smarter, and we would not make the same mistakes that we did the first time. There are a lot of investors that do not invest in entrepreneurs where it's their first company. So we've had a lot of people say no to us because of that, and I used to get mad at it. I don't get mad at it anymore, because I realize if we ever did start another company, how much more successful I think we'd be in the early days. Like, we would get over a lot of the humps that we had to get over. We'd do it quicker than we did before. It's a learning curve. If we ever did it again, it would definitely be a lot easier because of what we've learned in this company.
I guess that's a good segue into asking you, what were the largest obstacles, the largest humps that you had to get over?
You're probably going to get different answers from each of us, but I think mine, there's two primary ones. One, in the beginning, my biggest obstacle was raising capital. My first round of investment, I was 22 years old. My second round, I was like 23. My third round, I was 24. I'm young, and to get that amount of money from investors, to close a $6 million round before I even turned 25 years old, it's not something, you hear the stories on the news, you hear it in the papers, like in Silicon Valley, Mark Zuckerberg got his first investment at 20, early 20s. You hear about it, but it doesn't happen on that regular basis. And the problem in the Midwest is investors are not like the investors out on the West Coast. They're a little bit, they don't trust a 24-year-old with that much money. So I think that was my biggest obstacle in the beginning. But now we're raising investment because look at we can show what we're building. We can show the numbers behind it. We can show the team that we've built and the success that we've had. So it's getting easier. But in the early days, it was very hard. And then my second one, which is more of the issue right now, is finding the right people to help expand the company. We're onboarding so many new employees every single week. Our full-time staff was less than 20 in January. It's now over 50. So to go from 20 to 50 in 6 months, it's been a big challenge to find. Not everyone's meant for a startup. Some people are meant to go work for Fortune 500 companies. Trying to find the right people that fit well into the company and are going to be successful here it's always a challenge.
Yeah, my answer is very similar probably to Matt's second answer. It's like once you fill the place up with people too, and then the right people, managing operations at some point or another becomes pretty, complicated. You have to make sure that everybody is aligned to the same vision, same goals, make sure that people aren't working on things that aren't going to benefit the business, or two people are working on something simultaneously that is really redundant, so you only need one person on it. Really maintaining efficiency in a large organization, making sure that everybody knows where to go to get their questions answered, knows what their goal is personally and what the goals of the company, and keeping those lines of communication open across sales, engineering, design, marketing, everybody is, a really big challenge as the team hits some critical point, because it used to just be a couple of us in a room and we could just, talk out loud all day and everybody knew what everybody else was doing, but now it's a little bit more complicated than that.
What major personal and organizational goals do you guys have going into the next several years?
I think personal goals for me when it comes to the business is just make it successful. Build a great company. There's always a lot of pressure for investors to make their money back through an exit or an IPO. I need to focus on that because it's my responsibility, but at the same time, I just want to build a great company that people love to work for and that's successful, that's profitable, that, does good and restaurants love it, and, it's just all around build a great company. That's just a goal that I have. It's not, it's definitely a big task, but we're, excited to do it. For the organization, I guess it's the same thing, is build a place that people love to come to work and love to be part of the team and enjoy what they do on a daily basis. Because I see a lot of my friends that took their first jobs out of college a few years ago and they're not really enjoying it. My goal is for everyone to enjoy what they do here.
Yeah, definitely. Mine is effectively the same as Matt's. I think that the company has to continue to push boundaries. I work a lot on the product side of things, and I think that on that particular front, we need to make sure that we're staying up with the latest and greatest on technology and operations, and just basically, what really kills even massive tech companies, if you look at Facebook taking over where MySpace left off, if you look at Google overtaking Yahoo, it's like complacency. So what we're trying to avoid here is ever kind of sitting back and throwing it in cruise control. It's always going to be pushing to build just the best company that can possibly exist.
How do you divide your duties between each other? How do you make sure that you don't have those conflicts between each other?
Just between us two?
Yeah.
Yeah. So and I think this is one of the best things that we had done is we kind of set those our objectives early on, what each other were doing. I was in charge of all the sales and the customer service and the general operations of the business from day one. That was just my role. Where Eric and Alex were very much in charge of the tech end of the business, building the product, making sure it was able to be expanded. And I think from the beginning we kind of had that mindset, and we still to this day. I still ask Eric and Alex an opinion on everything. What do you guys think about this sales strategy or this marketing strategy? and get their opinions, their strategy behind it. But at the same time, it's not their core daily function. They're so I think it's great that we've had our different, like we've been able to. I've been focusing more on the business and the sales and the expansion, where they've been focusing on making sure we have the